Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event.
Oh, yeah!
Are you ready?
And now, coming live from Wrestling-News.net and presented by Spreaker, it's Main Event Madness. Madness Unleashed. You can also chat with us during the show, either by using the hashtag MEMLive or by calling 305-600-4708. And now, here are the hosts of tonight's show, John Curry, Mark Madison, and Aaron Ramadanov.
What's going on, everybody? Main Event Madness Radio. We are live and streaming on Wrestling-News.net. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. It is Royal Rumble Sunday. We are officially 3 hours away from the road to WrestleMania kicking off. I'm excited, and I cannot believe, as I was just saying to these guys off the air, that it's been a year almost since I bought my WrestleMania tickets, and I was heading out to California for WrestleMania 31, but it's almost time for the 2016 Royal Rumble, and it's almost time to do this little shindig all over again, guys. I fired up, and I'm pretty sure you guys are too. Mark Madison, my normal co-host, will be here momentarily. But in the meantime, that intro wasn't completely wrong this time, as Aaron is with us. Back again. How are you doing, sir?
Doing all right. Pumped up for the Royal Rumble, and like you said, so it's time to get this thing going again. Road to WrestleMania.
Absolutely. Also, I got Joe Israel. He's been a regular on these pre-shows. How are you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good. Also excited. One of my favorite shows every year.
And I'm hoping it doesn't let us down. But one thing that won't let us down is this is something that hasn't happened in a few years, and I got Chris Dunphy with me. And this is actually, I mean, we talked a little bit before we went on there. This is the first time he and I had talked in, at least civilized, in, what, about 2 years?
Yeah, something like that, at least over the phone. I mean, we've chatted a lot online and everything, and, you know, I'm glad to be back on the show to talk to you guys about the Royal Rumble this evening.
Happy to have you on board, guys. And also, if you guys want to chat with us during the show, you guys can use the hashtag MEMLive and chat with us on Twitter. We'll get to you guys as soon as we can. Also, if you guys want to call into the show in a little bit, the number to call in is 305-600-4708. That's 305-600-4708. And we had a lot of polls out, you know. Did a lot of promoting for this show. And it's a bit of a different Royal Rumble, you know. There's a lot of variables. We don't really know what's going to happen, and especially with the WWE title being on the line in the Rumble, it's a unique one to say the least. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that's a little bit different than what we usually see. We have a bunch of possible surprise entrants, you know, going into the Rumble match with, you know, the likelihood of maybe AJ Styles, who we've been waiting for years and years to finally make his way to WWE, and, you know, a bunch of different variables, and I think it's, you know, as much as people say that, you know, I've been a very harsh critic of WWE's product, especially in 2015.
Deservedly so.
Yeah, exactly, and I think, but you know, events like the Royal Rumble kind of is one of the reasons why you kind of stick around as a fan and don't completely give up on the product, because you know that WWE will at least attempt to do what they think is best tonight and try to give us a good show, and that's all I can really hope for tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, through and through, Royal Rumble time, they usually start to up their game a little bit. Ratings-wise, it's going to be interesting to see how much they try to up their game, because, you know, the ratings in recent years haven't gone up that much. So here's hoping they can at least get... What's up?
Well, I was going to mention they're going head-to-head with the the NFC Championship game tonight, which is pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, that one starts I think at like 6:40, so they won't have too much. At least the match itself won't be competing with it. So at least there's that. But I mean,
you know me being a big football guy, it kind of sucked, especially since I was looking more forward to the Panthers-Cardinals game than I was the Broncos-Patriots game, which seems to be the AFC Championship game every year. I would have preferred to have missed that over the Panthers-Cardinals game, but regardless, I'll be there watching the Royal Rumble tonight. I mean, the two matches I'm probably looking forward the most to, as well as I'm sure you guys are, is going to be the Intercontinental Championship bout between Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose, as well as the Royal Rumble match itself. Do you guys agree with that?
It's going to be interesting. I didn't mean to cut off which one he was up at the top, but it's going to be interesting, in my opinion. I'll shut up in a second. A lot of people are wondering whether or not they're going to let them actually go as far as they would on the Indies. You know, as far as like violence-wise and anything else. I mean, I don't think we're going to be seeing some wicked bloodbath here, but it's going to be interesting to see how far they let these two go.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we see any color tonight. I don't think we see either Ambrose or Owens bleed tonight, but I think there's a possible chance that they allow these two to kind of really go at each other. I wouldn't be surprised if this opens the show. I was looking at the card tonight, and I was like, you know what? You know, I think, you know, there are a bunch of different matches on here, and I think if I had to pick one match to kick off the show, they usually like to go the route of doing the tag titles as the first match of the main show, which is usually their formula. But I think if you're going to try to get people hooked in right away and try to get the crowd off to a rocket start, you know, they're in Orlando. It's going to be probably a heavy NXT audience, I would assume. And I think to keep those fans interested and involved the entire night, I would go with Owens and Ambrose for the IC title, last man standing, right to kick off the show. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, because I would imagine one of them is going to be in the Rumble match. So that's at least one, if not both. So I think that's the reason you could have it go early, too. I mean, I think the match will be pretty stiff. I mean, I don't think it's going to be super violent. Even the indie matches nowadays have toned down most of the violence because everyone knows how bad it is for you. So I think it'll be what you can see now without going too far overboard.
Personally, I think we'll see a little bit of what you've seen between Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt at the end of last year, or at the end of during their feud when they had that TLC match and everything. I think we can expect something, like you said, something very stiff, but at the same time, not a lot of color or anything. They usually reserve that for the show of shows, WrestleMania, and like an Undertaker match or Brock Lesnar, unless there's an accidental, somebody accidentally gets bust open during the match, but it'll be a stiff match, a great match. Personally, I just hope that, the booking, goes fine. I hope we get a clean winner out of all this. I mean, it seems that they really don't have other option than to have a definitive winner in this type of match, but you know how WWE creative can be at times. I just hope that both of them gain something out of this, that neither of them loses momentum coming out of this match. And it's definitely, great to see the Intercontinental Championship finally, be the prestige of the title is finally something that has been rising, especially with Kevin Owens becoming the IC champion, Dean Ambrose, capturing it from him. These two seem to be adding more and more prestige to the Intercontinental Championship that has been lacking over for probably the last decade, if not longer. It seems like they start up and start down. As far as this opening the show, I'm not completely 100% sold on it. If it was up to me, yeah, I agree. I probably would have this as the opener to get the crowd, ready and going, since it's pretty much the second biggest show of the year. But then again, I mean, it's WWE, so one of the previous people mentioned, I feel that they will end up going the normal route of having the tag teams open up, and usually the Usos never disappoint when they open up a pay-per-view, so
And I mean, it does make you wonder too, who opens or what two matches open, whether or not they're going to go both the singles titles and get them out of the way. You know, I mean, you got to think at least Owens and Del Rio will be in. You know, with them trying to screw over Roman Reigns, and I'm looking at this; they haven't changed it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. They've got about 15 people only announced. Big Show, Axel.
When I looked at it, though, actually, I had to cut you off, but I checked you yesterday. I believe it was 18 to 20 that were confirmed, counting the winners of the kickoff match being included. I had the list. I don't have it in front of me right now. I should have wrote it down. But I believe there's between 18 and 20 that have been announced. So you can look for about between 10 to 12 that haven't been officially announced.
Well, I was gonna say with that, I mean, you got to look at it. You know, like we were mentioning, Del Rio, Kalisto, Ambrose, and Owens. Of those four, plus some of them from the New Day. You know, they're probably going to be in.
Yeah, then I don't know if you guys know about the rumors about Josh Brettel, the Tough Enough winner, might be a participant in tonight's Royal Rumble, which I think would be a huge mistake. But
you wouldn't want to see that, Joe?
I don't think it's true. It's silly, and
I think it's kind of funny if all of this, huh?
Honestly, it would not surprise me one bit to see Vince McMahon do that, especially his size and everything. You know, that's my thing. You know, when you want to see a new it's a familiar face that most of the WWE universe knows about. You know, it's somebody that has the size that could be a potential threat in the Rumble. Personally, I think it would be a mistake, but it would not surprise me the least, bit if we do see him come in and possibly make, a big-time elimination similar to what Maven did all those years ago, eliminating The Undertaker in the fashion that he did.
I think we're going to have Baron Corbin in that role of the debuting big guy who can...
Yeah, I think if it's going to be that kind of a notable debut, then they wouldn't give it to somebody like Josh. If he's going to be in it,
yeah, he's going to be a job. He's going to be thrown out very early. I think
he'll be in there
He would be in there simply to humble him in a certain fashion, to throw him over in like a couple seconds or something like that.
Or just have the social outcast gang up and throw him over the top rope as soon as he comes in.
I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they don't feed him to Brock Lesnar. If he doesn't at least get a suplex from Brock Lesnar out of this, I don't know. That's just my opinion. If that many people in the back are pissed off, they'll be like, "Hey, Brock, suplex the kid."
Yeah. But then again, I believe, I can't remember who it was. Was it Alex Marvez that was the one that announced it? That he would be in the Rumble?
I don't know. But
I think it was Alex Marvez, who usually is a pretty good source. I mean, I know he covers football for Fox, amongst other things. I mean, he is a pretty reliable source. So, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me in the least bit to see him in the Rumble. Other surprises, I think the AJ Styles thing has been overblown. I really don't expect to see him debut in the Royal Rumble. I think he's coming straight to NXT whenever he does, join the WWE roster. It'll be down in NXT. Maybe if they were in Philadelphia or New York or something like that. I understand they're in Orlando, which is going to be an NXT mostly crowd, but I just don't expect AJ Styles to make his debut tonight, especially with it leaking out and everything like that prior. I think there will be a change of plans and they'll scrap AJ Styles being in the Royal Rumble tonight.
I think he's going to debut tomorrow on Raw. I think there's a no-win situation with putting him in the Rumble because I don't think they plan on him winning. So I just feel like it would be no-win to have him debut here.
You wouldn't want him to debut and lose. Tomorrow. I think that's how a lot of people look at it. You wouldn't want to see him finally make it to WWE and then he loses, But if he does go to the main...
make him the main roster jump initially, especially with the rumors of the rest of the Bullet Club coming in and everything. I think you're going to either... The only way I see AJ Styles making it to the main roster it will either be with the rest of the Bullet Club or it'll be down in NXT. I just don't think he's going to make it straight to the main roster on his own without the rest of the Bullet Club.
He's bigger than them. I think he's someone who...
I completely understand that, but with all the hype they've had leading up to his signing, as a part of the Bullet Club, if not for all this Bullet Club stuff that WWE's been hyping and promoting on their websites, and the potential signings and the connection with Finn Balor and all that stuff, I just think if anything, you're going to see him debut on the main roster with the rest of the Bullet Club. Maybe they do introduce him one at a time, bring out an AJ Styles, and then him slowly bring up the rest of the Bullet Club. I just think, for my money, I think he's going to go straight down to developmental, just like Samoa Joe, just like Austin Aries, who debuted, which I'm sure we'll get to shortly in the show. But I really don't expect AJ Styles. That'll be my bold prediction for tonight, that AJ Styles will not be in the Royal Rumble.
Well, and I think there's one name that we're all glancing over, unless we all don't think he will be there, and that is Daniel Bryan, who was reportedly cleared by yet another neurologist at UCLA. Now, you're getting one at Phoenix and one at UCLA. I mean, even if you're WWE and you want Joseph Maroon to be the one to clear him, you're getting two of the top neurologists in the country, which professional football neurologists are. I mean, at what point do you not take their word for a grain of salt and you're like, all right, well, you know what? Our doctor didn't, but two doctors did, 2 out of 3. I thought that was a report that I saw a while back, and Aaron, I want to get your thoughts on it, was that they were going to go for kind of like a rubber match kind of doctor where they wanted to get, 2 out of 3, and either if it sides with Bryan, then they clear him. If it doesn't side with Bryan, then Bryan's done or something like that.
From what I understood, it was WWE's doctor said no, Daniel Bryan's doctor said yes, and both parties apparently agreed that if whatever the third doctor said, they would both go with. I don't know if this was that third doctor, if the UCLA neurologist was the one that was going to make the deciding call. That's still up in the air. I haven't really heard any concrete stuff about this, and I don't know if Daniel is going to be cleared by WWE. As right now, I know he's not. We talked about this on the show before, where implementing Daniel into the Rumble could be very dangerous in so many different ways, especially if they want to go ahead and protect Roman Reigns, which I think they will be doing tonight. And I don't want to jump the gun on my prediction, but I think they're going to be protecting Roman tonight. And I think if you add Bryan to that mix into the Rumble match, that could really kind of diminish a lot of the work and the investment and the time and the money you've put into trying to build Roman Reigns up over the last few months. So, Daniel, I think, is another guy that, like Joe said, could definitely be someone that maybe debuts on Raw tomorrow night or even down the line in a couple of weeks. I don't know. I just think, we haven't really heard anything concrete about Daniel and if he's been cleared yet. So I think the rumors of him returning tonight are very far-fetched, in my opinion, at least.
I agree with you. I agree with you personally when it comes to Daniel. I mean, I don't expect it. It would be a huge mistake, After the events that unfolded the last 2 years at the Royal Rumble, you can't make that mistake a third time unless you're going to put him over as the winner of the Royal Rumble, which do you really want to, make that leap and put him over in the Royal Rumble considering his injury status right now? So if anything, if Daniel Bryan will return, I believe it would be, like you mentioned, tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw to set up a potential feud for WrestleMania.
I think there is it was only less than a year ago that Tyson Kidd legitimately almost died in one of their rings. I think they're genuinely concerned that Daniel Bryan could die while wrestling. I think that's why they've been so cautious bringing him back. We don't know what the doctors have actually said. This is all hearsay. But I mean, they're definitely being cautious with this. So
and this whole conspiracy of WWE the thing I see all the time is people go, oh, well, Vince doesn't want to bring him back because he's going to screw up Vince's plans. No, the WWE is very concerned about Daniel Bryan. Like you said, Joe, they don't want this guy to have some catastrophic injury in the ring, and then everyone's going to look back at WWE and go, well, why'd you clear the guy? The guy had serious neck injuries and shoulder injuries, and you cleared him anyway. So I think they're just being safe, and I think they are just trying to cover their ass on this situation because we've seen it not recently, but with Pero Guarantino down in Mexico, where the simplest little thing with a neck injury can easily end your life. So I think they're being very cautious with him. I think they're going to go through all the proper steps, and the whole talk of WWE kind of keeping him out because they don't want him to ruin their plans. I just think that's just a bunch of bullshit.
I don't.
Yeah, it's idiotic. He makes them too much money through
exactly, and especially
everything else they can sell, and it's idiotic.
And especially with the ratings where they are right now, and the live event. I mean, look at SmackDown. They had like a third of an arena. I mean, if you had Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan wants to work SmackDown, if you had Daniel Bryan on that show, I mean, you're getting a few more people in there, and you're getting a little bit of higher ratings.
And John, it's not just that, it's the fact of all the major superstars they are missing right now with John Cena, Seth Rollins, all these guys. Of course they need all the star power they can get right now, so why would they not have Daniel Bryan? You know what I mean? I can understand if they had a full stack deck, a full stack deck as far as, all these top guys, but with all these injuries and, the uncertainty about The Rock and what The Undertaker might do as far as WrestleMania, the only guarantees you really have right now are Triple H, Brock Lesnar, and Roman Reigns. So, I mean, adding Daniel Bryan to the mix would be a huge coup for World Wrestling Entertainment. But as of right now, like I said, with all these injuries and everything, that's another reason I don't believe that, they're keeping them out just to keep everything in order and not mess up Vince's ultimate plan.
And speaking of missing star power, we were just missing star power until he just joined us. We are now joined with by my
what does that say about us over here?
Yeah.
It's only bolstering the already stellar star power that we are featuring here at Main Event Madness.
Your tracks real well, John.
We're adding to Triple H and CM Punk, and we're adding Edge.
Okay.
Is that a fair Triple H, CM Punk, and Stone Cold? Or no?
Well, I like the Canadian tie-in with Edge because it kind of works.
I figured you'd like that. And sorry, Dunphy, I couldn't quite come up with one.
Too, so.
Aaron and Triple H was the easiest one I could come up with.
Yeah.
Joe, CM Punk, kind of the indie reference, and I couldn't quite come up with anything for Dunphy. That was my bad. But now we're a little bit backtracking here, guys. We're talking some surprises for the Royal Rumble, and maybe whether or not we do see Daniel Bryan. It's been the same conversation seemingly forever.
Since we're talking about the Rumble surprises, can I throw out the few other names we haven't talked about for surprises?
The Great Khali.
So I guess there's the three older guys we haven't mentioned yet, with Triple H, who's the presumptive frontrunner to win, and then The Rock and The Undertaker. I do think The Undertaker is a possibility, and he gets screwed by whoever he's facing at WrestleMania. And Triple H, as we all know, is pretty much the frontrunner. I don't think The Rock shows up, but I figured those were the other three names. We can just get them out of the way now as the other big rumors for tonight.
Yeah, and I think this is a match you could see The Undertaker.
What happened? Well, I was just going to quickly mention somebody that's kind of been flying under the radar as far as returns are concerned. There was this big dispute as far as reporting goes with the Wrestling Observer and all that stuff. But Randy Orton is definitely a name that I think people are kind of forgetting about a little bit because apparently he was someone that Dave Meltzer reported needing surgery. Randy Orton came back and said he does not need surgery. So that's been kind of thrown up in the air as well. So I just wanted to throw that name out there as well, just in case some people are kind of forgetting about Mr. Orton maybe making a Rumble return tonight.
And especially as he was saying he was ahead of schedule.
Do that to me.
He had a good 2015.
He did have a good 2015.
He did.
To me, Orton is not. I mean, John will tell you he knows my opinion on Orton.
Yes,
I think he's a solid in-ring worker who needs the right guy in the ring to push the match, to the next gear. But to me personally, I just see a very boring, bland character that is pushed and
it's a very
too much.
It's a very bland and boring character, quote unquote, in your words.
How much of that is his fault compared to how they've kind of maybe booked him? And I think the whole Orton thing is always funny to talk about because I think he's a guy that's been around for so long, and we forget how long he's actually been around for. Almost 10 years now, but past 10 years now.
Almost
and
15.
He's only in his mid-30s, so he still has a ways to go in WWE. I think he still has a bunch of years left within the company. Especially, I don't know about the injury thing. Maybe, that could hinder his years with the company. But I think a lot of it is just them not being able to freshen his character up. And I don't know how much of that is his fault or is the creative team's fault because they've tried to do a bunch of different things with him. We saw him, with the Authority. We saw him as a babyface most recently. So it's a bunch of kind of they've had a tough time trying to freshen his character up. And it's I think the guy's a great worker. I think he's easily a Hall of Famer. I think he's someone that's probably one of the best workers they have on the active roster. So I think if you can get him back as soon as possible, that'd be a huge help on the main roster, in my opinion.
I think last year they finally gave him the character that he should have been playing all along, which is to keep him as a good guy, but let him still be sort of an ass, which is what he naturally is. They didn't make him try to be the John Cena type. They let him be more of an Austin type. And I think that's probably the right way to go with them.
Well, I mean, they had all the momentum in the world a couple years ago, almost 3 years ago now, which is crazy to think, when they turned him heel. Everybody and their brother wanted to see Orton turn heel again. They're like, all right, Orton as a babyface, it's kind of been a flop. Meh. So everybody was excited when we heard that he was going to be turning heel soon, and then they blew it. I mean, I think... I don't know if they felt they had to try hard to get him over as a heel, which all they need to do is just let him, be the dick that he is. But I think that, the Authority, and then they missed the idea of what fans wanted from him as a heel. The whole Viper character when he was just condescending and, meticulous and it was just methodical and, that kind of character, not the bitch Randy Orton that we had from Evolution and when he was feuding with The Undertaker and those days. And I think that's what they thought people wanted. That's the vision WWE has for heels these days, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think that's why people love a guy like Kevin Owens so much, is he's a breath of fresh air when you see the kind of heel that he is, and he's basically the full-time Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, but if you look at it, they've been starting to do that with Owens, trying to make him that, bitch heel. I just don't understand why outside of Brock Lesnar, all these guys have to cheat or get one over to win. It's like, it's just because they're a heel doesn't mean they can't win a match straight up without cheating. That's been one of WWE's biggest problems lately as well.
That's been WWE since the mid-'70s. I mean, that's 40 years. They're not going to change that. The heels never won cleanly in any era of wrestling.
And I think another name, I want to get you guys' opinion on talking about the Royal Rumble. What about Sami Zayn?
That was another name I was bring up.
What's that, Joe?
I like that idea.
Hey, Mark talked.
I don't think he will cost Owens either cost Owens during the Rumble or cost Owens the IC title match.
I hope so. That is a feud.
I'd like to see Kevin Owens retain the IC title and then Sami Zayn eliminate Owens during the Royal Rumble match to set up a potential Intercontinental Championship feud. Let Ambrose move on to bigger and better things. Have Owens carry the IC strap with Zayn making his debut in the Royal Rumble, lasting a really long time, eliminating Kevin Owens, which will really piss off Kevin Owens, and start a great feud heading into WrestleMania. between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the IC title, which I think would be yet another feud that could continue to build the prestige of the Intercontinental Championship back.
Well, they've had Owens show up at a NXT house show and kind of still tease the animosity between the both of them. I think the idea of having Sami Zayn kind of dip his toes in kind of both the NXT and the main roster water just until things in NXT are kind of settled, because it looks like they're teasing of things with him and Samoa Joe and Baron Corbin and stuff like that. So their plans for him seem to be, if that's the case, all over the place. So they got to decide, are they going to move him up, or are they going to make things settled and wait for Hideo and Tammy to come on NXT and they build up some of the talent that's coming in and some of the huge spoilers that came out about Austin Aries showing up. And what is the plan? The ultimate plan for Sami is, yes, to end this feud with Kevin Owens, which is always, I guess, on the periphery. Fans of like, was there ever any settling of that? No, there wasn't. He was injured, off the shelf. Owens was called up, and it was kind of left. So I like the idea of
roster, and the main roster has already gotten, the main roster's already gotten a taste of that animosity and feud during the whole John Cena U.S. Open Challenge when Owens showed up the week after he beat Sami Zayn. So the main roster, the fans of the WWE Universe, who technically aren't big NXT fans or follow it, already know that there is that turmoil and that history between the two competitors. So I think that also would help make it an easy transaction. And like you said about building other people up on NXT, possibly waiting on Hideo Itami, possibly to come back from his injury. I mean, like you mentioned, you got Austin Aries who just debuted. You got Apollo Crews in there now that's doing phenomenal things and I think has a bright future in NXT. So, I mean, you still got Samoa Joe there, whether they decide to move him up to the main roster eventually. I think the title, the whole title picture in NXT is a little, clustered right now, and I think right now would be the perfect time for Sami Zayn to make that move up to the main roster tonight at the Royal Rumble, possibly eliminate a Kevin Owens, setting up a possible regular feud or a feud for the Intercontinental title, have Ambrose drop in, like I said, hopefully Ambrose moves on to bigger and better things heading into WrestleMania. But I think Sami Zayn right now, it would be the perfect opportunity. Like I said, with the cluster title picture, you got Tommy possibly coming back from injury. You got the debut of Austin Aries. You still got Samoa Joe. Baron Corbin's future's a little uncertain. Like we mentioned, him as a possible surprise entrant into tonight's Royal Rumble. So, I mean, it'll be really interesting to see where they go. Personally, I think Sami Zayn's run his course in NXT. I mean, they can still do some fresh stuff with him down there in developmental, but in my opinion, I think if anybody's ready to make that leap right now and enter the Royal Rumble tonight, it would be Sami Zayn. I would absolutely love that.
It's in Florida, so really anybody on the NXT roster that anyone's gotten a sniff of seeing, it's fair game. I think we would be pleased to see Finn Balor show up or Baron Corbin, and I think that breath of fresh air, that surprise that we all want. I'm sure you guys have already touched upon the elephant in the room and being AJ Styles. Any of those things is something to look forward to tonight.
Yeah, for sure. My big...
Come again? Gotta love technical difficulties.
His biggest thing was...
It's not.
Wow, 0 for 2.
Are teammates like dropping like flies? Is there like an MEM injury report that's showing up?
I don't know, but right now it's about to get worse than the main roster.
Box is what's happening.
So, I'll talk quickly about the NXT guys. My personal guess, as I said, I think Sami Zayn shows up in some way. I don't know if he's in the match or not. I would say Baron Corbin is next most likely to show up because he's a big guy and they like putting them in this match. I don't think Finn Balor will. I think he probably doesn't debut until after WrestleMania.
I agree.
Samoa Joe, I don't know if he might just be in NXT forever.
Which is a shame.
I don't know what I don't know what type of contract he signed or anything. So that would be, my guess would be Zayn and Corbin are the most likely.
I agree with that.
Now, the thing here, and I want to get everybody's opinions on this, all these guys were mentioning, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Undertaker, who do they face at WrestleMania? I mean, who do you put a guy like AJ Styles against?
That's why I just don't see AJ Styles, doing this just yet, unless they bring the Bullet Club in and do a League of Nations versus Bullet Club type thing. We're not entirely sure what exactly is going to go on with Brock Lesnar. Is he going to go on to have, a feud with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family heading into WrestleMania, which has been reported? I mean, is he going to have a rematch with Roman Reigns for the WWE title? Is Triple H? There's still a lot of uncertainty with that, so that's why I think, AJ Styles, I really don't see anybody who he would go into a big-time program with at WrestleMania unless he was a part of the Bullet Club and they did a stable versus stable type thing, possibly with the League of Nations, possibly with the Wyatt family if they don't end up, feuding with Brock Lesnar heading into WrestleMania.
The only Mania matches that for me feel almost set in stone at this point are Reigns versus Triple H, most likely for the title, Sasha versus Charlotte for the women's title, and I think Owens and Zayn is very likely. I think those.
Will Sasha be back in time?
I'm sorry?
Will Sasha be back in time?
Assuming she's back in time. I don't know. So assuming she's back in time, I think that's always been the plan. I don't know what they do if she's not. And then I think Owens versus Zayn is pretty likely. Other than that, I think it's anyone's guess. I think they still want to do Lesnar and The Rock for some reason. And then Lesnar versus Wyatt is kind of their fallback plan. But other than that, I'm not really sure.
What do you guys think of the possibility? And I mean, nobody's mentioned him at all. It wouldn't surprise me to see WWE try to pull one out of left field. What about Steve Austin?
It's not
happening. It's not happening. I don't see it. But anyway, John, I hate to cut you off. I want to bring something up that a lot of people were talking about the Divas and Sasha Banks and Charlotte for WrestleMania. Actually, something we talked earlier in the show, what might open tonight's Royal Rumble match, a dark horse candidate that I actually would really like to see open the show tonight would be a good 10 to 15 minute match with Becky Lynch and Charlotte, an NXT style women's match, and I would definitely put the Divas in it would solidify the Divas division a little bit, put more spotlight on them, and give them the opportunity to go out there and rock the house out. I mean, I think that would make a huge statement if they would put the Divas on first, because we know Charlotte and Becky Lynch put on a hell of a match. I would look to see that as an opening for tonight's, Royal Rumble. What do you guys think about that as a potential dark horse opener for tonight?
Word I've heard is that they're going to start off with the Ambrose Owens match to start off the show. Interestingly enough.
Yeah. I was just curious about your guys' thoughts if they did decide to go that route to put them on first.
It'd be a great idea. They got to give them good time to really keep people interested. Yeah.
I just think that'd be a great launching point for this Divas Revolution they're trying to do. Why not throw them out there first, knowing that they can pull off? I'd like to see Triple H in there, slamming his fist down, like, look, if you guys are serious about the Divas moving forward, tonight's a big platform, put them on first, let them, tear the roof off the place to open up the Royal Rumble, event tonight. So, I mean, I think that'd be interesting. But, I have no problem with Ambrose and Kevin Owens opening up. I'm a little surprised by it, but do you guys know if it's confirmed or not, if anybody confirmed it for sure?
Things that I've heard.
As far as I know, it's still up in the air, but I think it's still up in the air. Yeah, I don't think it's anything's confirmed. But Mark, you weren't here, but I said that would be a perfect candidate to open the show up because of the way that those two are going to. I think if you put that match on before the Rumble match, I think the fans might get a little bit exhausted. And I think, nonetheless, I think people are going to be excited about the Rumble match no matter what happens beforehand. But I think you run the risk of them getting a little exhausted think the Ambrose and Owens match is going to go around the arena. I think it's going to be all over the place. I think they're going to really tear each other apart. And I think that would be a great way to start the show. If not start the show, you can do something where you have the tag match maybe kick off the show, then you have the Ambrose and Owens match somewhere in the middle, and then have end it with the Rumble. So you have one in the beginning, one in the middle, one in the end, kind of spread everything out. But if I'm booking the show, I would go out with I would start off with the IC title match.
I'd be worried about putting the Divas too close to the Rumble match, because then you run the risk of people like, oh, okay. I mean, those that don't get... Yeah, exactly.
It's been their come-down match before the main event.
Yeah,
and
it's not really fair.
And that's why I think they can make that statement tonight about them being serious with the Stevens division, as much as Becky Lynch has progressed over the last few weeks as a top babyface. We know they can both work. I mean, that would be, you've had, these women's matches, main event NXT live events, or NXT live specials on the network, and have been phenomenal matches. And I think a match like that to open up the Royal Rumble tonight would, finally put the spotlight on the Divas and finally show that, hey, we're going to turn the page. We're serious about this Divas Revolution. And to me, I have no doubt, if given enough time, that Charlotte and Becky Lynch could put on a hell of an opening match tonight. And I think it could definitely kickstart the Divas Revolution if they're dead serious about doing that. And then, I think I would rather see the tag title match go on before the Royal Rumble than I would the Divas match. Because if you put the Divas match in that slot, it's just the same old Diva booking we've seen for years. You know what I mean? It's the the Divas are wrestling, the Rumble's next, let's go hit the concessions real quick. Let's go hit
what do you put in that spot?
To be fair, they have not done that in months. They've put the tag title match or either the US or IC title match in the really crappy spots. And they usually give the Divas match the 9 o'clock spot, which is actually one of the, they don't put it as the come-down match anymore, which I think will be the same thing tonight. I think the Divas match will probably be third, which is still a pretty good spot for it. And it'll be 15 minutes because they need to fill the show.
I think the Kalisto Alberto Del Rio match will be the match before the Rumble, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I'd like to see that as well as the match before. I mean, I have no doubt. It's similar to the ladder match that they had, the triple threat ladder match, tag team match. We know the Usos and the New Day are going to go out there and put on a hell of a show. It's just the build to it has been very lackluster with the tag team division. It's just like so much start, stop with Vince in the tag team division. And I mean, I'm just not too, I don't know, I just think I'd say I'd either put the Kalisto Del Rio match or the tag title match on before the Royal Rumble. So, I mean, I agree with you for the most part with all that.
So, this is a pregame show, so let's get some predictions underway before we start to run out of time. How long are you guys looking to be in here? I know Mark said probably 6:30. Does that sound good for you guys also?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But this pre-show match, I don't know. I had to step out for a minute. I don't know if you guys touched on it. The Ascension, Swagger and Henry, the Dudleys, and what's
Darren Young and Damian Sandow.
Darren Young and Aaron, we forgot about them too when we were talking about them this past Wednesday. What does that say?
It blows my mind that Damian, it's the most random pairing I think I've ever seen. I don't understand why they're not pairing Titus and Darren anymore. There hasn't been anything about them breaking up. It's been like a quiet break. I think they're on hiatus. I don't know. I think what
they're trying to push Titus.
I think what ended up happening was Cesaro was feuding with Stardust, and he got hurt. And I think someone had to plug someone into that role with Stardust. And Titus was, I guess, the decision. And they've silently broken up Titus and Darren. I don't know what they're doing, but this match apparently will be for a spot in the Rumble. I'm going to go with the Dudley Boys. I think they're established names. I think casual fans will know them, and they can be a nice little spot. I think they're going to be in there when the Wyatts are in there to kind of be thrown to. I don't know. I think out of all these teams in here, I mean, why not the Dudleys? Why not any of these teams? Honestly, I mean, it really doesn't matter. But I'll go with the Dudleys in this match.
Well, to bring it to your point or whatever about the whole thing with Titus O'Neil, we've seen the split before with the primetime players. I just think WWE and Vince McMahon in particular see a lot of potential in Titus Young as a singles competitor, and they just have went, completely brain farted as far as splitting them up. I mean, the last time they split them up was very lackluster. This time might be even worse because there's absolutely been zero explanation. Like I said, I think it has more to do with him as seeing potential in Titus O'Neil as a single star more than anything. My prediction for the match would, who I want to win, I'd like to see Swagger and Mark Henry, just because I think they, have a better presence in the Rumble match as singles competitors. But I agree, I think the Dudleys get the victory tonight for a lot of the reasons that you just mentioned.
Yeah, the Dudleys seem the most likely. It doesn't really matter, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking Swagger and Henry. I was kind of thinking Swagger and Henry. Maybe to kickstart a little bit of a storyline for Mark Henry going into what's rumored to be his final WrestleMania, seemingly for the last 5 years they've been saying that, but now that it's in Texas.
The funny thing about this was, I'm pretty sure Mark Henry was announced for the Rumble, and then they retracted it, and now he's in a match to get into the Rumble. I'm pretty sure on Monday, either last week or the week before, they said he was in the Rumble, and now he's just not in the Rumble anymore.
Yeah, I'll back that up. I see that also. Yeah. Honestly, if this really is his retirement, WrestleMania, if anything, I see him participating in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and if it really is his send-off, it'd be a nice send-off for him to win that Battle Royal. If you're not going to put over a future star in that position.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Dudleys seem to make the most sense, though, aside from that whole Henry thing. But
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see who gets in, and I mean, of that list, like you were saying, Chris, there are 18 to 20. There's 15 counting the 2 from the pre-show, so whichever 2 you want to throw in there. I mean, Owens, Ambrose, Kalisto, Del Rio, that's 19. Titus is 20. Miz is 21. I mean, Kane's probably 22. You're not going to have a Royal Rumble without Kane.
John, if you want, I believe the list I seen was on ProWrestling.net. Was the last time I seen it. It had it between 8. I think it had 18 confirmed, and then counting the winners of the pre-show would make 20. If you're online or anything, if you want to reference that, double check it, bro. I think that would be a site that I last seen it on was ProWrestling.net. But I'm pretty sure last time I seen I counted it was 18 and then the 2 from the pre-show, which would leave open, I believe, 10 spots. It was 10 to 12 open spots, I know that. So if you want to double check that, if you're online or anything like that right now, just to confirm for everybody.
Yeah, I got it up. I'm just waiting for it to come up here. But either way, I don't think we're going to get as many surprises as people think we will. I think maybe 2 or 3, if that, and they won't be...
You always get 2 or 3 legends. They'll do that. And then, there'll be 1 or 2 debuts.
It's not about the number of surprises, it's about the impact of the surprises.
I see what you did there. But it's going to be interesting. Now, before we get back to the Rumble matches, just want to get everybody's opinion. With Austin Aries coming into NXT, do you think he could be an NXT champion down the line, or do you think he's going to be kind of like a Rhino and just basically be like a player coach?
I think he's a name that they've brought in to bolster up the touring roster. I don't know if he has any long-term plans with the company. I don't know if they see him that way. I think he might be in the same role as Samoa Joe, where he's just kind of there to help the NXT brand I don't think he has a future on the main roster. Unfortunately, as good as he is and as talented as he is, same thing goes for Joe. I don't know if either of them have a future on the main roster. I think that's a lot of the reasons why James Storm ended up deciding to leave NXT as well, is because I think he realized that I don't think he has much of a future on the main roster either. Plus, the TNA deal was substantially larger than the NXT deal he was offered. So I don't think Aries is going to have a future on the main roster. NXT champion, maybe. I think he could be someone that could feud with an NXT champion. I don't know if they're going to actually put the strap on him, but I think he's definitely someone that's going to be featured as a big player in NXT, especially on their touring dates.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. And there's always been rumors that he's been a bit difficult to work with personally, so that could also be another reason.
So, but like you mentioned, I think Breaking Ground did wonders. If anybody, got anything out of Breaking Ground, I think it was Baron Corbin. I think that helped him leaps and bounds with people understand that that's really who he is. He really is a dick. He's a weird guy. There was that episode where he went in there to buy that weird stuff at one of those, oddball shops. If you guys remember what episode I'm talking about, I mean, they got a glimpse to see that Baron Corbin really is a guy that's, that's him and that's who he is. So I think like you mentioned, Breaking Ground was a huge, huge stepping stone for Baron Corbin.
Well, then it got people, introduced to him a little bit more if they didn't know him, or got to see, the more human side to him, I guess. Which I know Aaron and I are on the same page with this, and I don't mean to single out him over anybody else. I love the documentary stuff, the backstage stuff.
I had a whole new appreciation for Dana Brooke, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she was just
right before.
I thought she was just.
I just want to go back real quick because I think we kind of got off of it. I had more to say about Austin Aries. I was wanting who was it that was just telling me a lot about his gimmick and what kind of person he was? Who was that?
That was Aaron.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Another question for you then. Who would you compare him to in NXT or WWE as far as, is there somebody you could kind of compare him to, like a poor man's Seth Rollins? Like, what kind of, is there anybody that you can think of off the top of your head that maybe it could be a couple of different guys that he reminds you of?
This might be such a cliche answer, but I think he's his own guy. I mean, he really is. If you watch TNA and you watch him through the years, and especially how he's evolved, becoming kind of a no-name guy in the X division to being, a world champion in TNA. I'm gonna have to go to Joe and Mark here and see if they can compare someone to Austin Aries. I can't really think of anyone.
Gimmick-wise, you could almost, at least his heel gimmick, you could almost compare him to the late era Batista. Is somewhat similar. Obviously, they're not the same in the ring at all, but
or appearance-wise. I was just curious because, like somebody just mentioned, the X division. I mean, I would see him a lot on, when I'd go up to the store and pick up a magazine of Pro Wrestling Illustrated or something. I'd see him on the covers a lot. I'd, doing his thing in Ring of Honor. I would see him in the X division from time to time with a short amount of TNA I watched. But then, later on in life, I'm sitting here just randomly looking through different TNA results and see, hey, he's the world champion now, stuff like that, or was in the title picture. I was like, wow, this was a guy that was just nobody really in the X division when I was watching, who really, went places in TNA and got to be a big name. So that's why I was just curious to find out more from you guys that are more, he was given
the opportunity. He was given an opportunity to really develop that character, become brash, become arrogant, and his promos were convincing, right? I mean, yes, there was an incident that wasn't as pleasant, and I think he got his hand slapped for that, where he stood on the second rope of a turnbuckle, and he, I don't know, indirectly propositioned Christy Hemme, but the powers that be didn't like that, and I don't know if that was just part of his character, but she felt very uncomfortable because of how it all came about.
Well, she didn't move, so he just kind of continued on to go to the top rope, and she just didn't move.
Her head is, strategically placed in an area, and she had no idea what was happening there. So so you could have said anything at that point, but that's part and parcel with the character, right? He's and he could go with Kurt Angle, and he can go with Bobby Lashley, and it would have been nice to see what he can do because he's a smaller sized guy. It would have been nice to see what he could do with some of the guys that are on the main roster, but you got to consider his age. He's not necessarily the youngest of guys. So when you guys were talking about having him down the road be an NXT champion, I don't know if that's what they want, because they could get away with leaving him as Austin Aries and Samoa Joe as Samoa Joe to a North American audience. But Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, they're coming over from Japan, and unless you're really closely following New Japan, which a lot of us now have become, because they're like, oh, there's all this talent that seems to be coming over, and that's where there's a lot of great guys.
Sorry to interrupt. No, I said sorry to interrupt. We're getting a caller coming in.
Oh, great. Okay.
Hello, 706 area code. You're on Main Event Madness.
Oh, hey, this is Toph. What's going on, guys?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going? What's on your mind?
Oh, this is my first time calling. I was just calling in to support the show. You guys talk about the Royal Rumble?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Yep. Appreciate the call, man. What are you looking forward to tonight the most?
I'm looking forward to possibly watching the Rumble getting hijacked again. That'd be kind of funny. I'm also looking forward to seeing if Roman Reigns has the stamina to go 60 minutes or something. I mean, I don't want to throw shade at the guy. I like Roman, but I've watched his matches, and normally, like, when he's in a match that goes past 10 minutes, he's usually kind of gassed out. So I'm kind of curious to see how they'll book the match, because I know he'll be number one. Maybe they'll do something similar to what they did in the 1999 Rumble, where they just kept pulling Austin out the ring, and they just kept brawling over different places.
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
We might get some Roman as sleeping chance tonight. Once he rolls out of the ring, it disappears for a little bit throughout the match.
I mean, Roman winning to me seems like it's going to backfire. And I know Mark and I touched on this during the show on Wednesday, but they're gonna.
He will be there until the end, though. So that is a good point. That he is gonna have to be in the match for an hour.
And if Triple H doesn't compete in the Rumble, as everybody's saying, I think he's definitely going to be there to cost him the match.
Well, do you guys want to hear my scenario for what I think is going to happen at the beginning of the Royal Rumble?
Sure, shoot.
I think, this is my opinion, I'm going to go out on a limb. I say that Roman Reigns enters first, and the second, third, and fourth, and fifth entrants are going to be either the League of Nations or the Wyatt family. That way he has the odds stacked against him right off the rip.
Yeah, I mean, I said it on the show. I could, I think it was when Evan was on. Mark, correct me if I'm wrong. I agree with you. I said that I thought the league's going to open it, then Mark Henry, then Big Show, then Kane, and then I could see the Great Khali come back for a bullshit return, just to be another bigger guy to get Roman Reigns out of there.
Why not? You know what I mean? Why not?
What do you?
Is our caller still there?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask. What do you think? Do you think we could see something like that, or how do you think? How do you think the Authority handles Reigns in the in the Rumble match?
But I definitely could see Triple H doing something. But I think one thing the fans need to realize is that Triple H doesn't have to be in the match to screw him. Like he could easily. They could easily pull some shenanigans. Like, I could see, for instance, the number counts down, then it plays Triple H's music, which catches Roman off guard, but then no one actually comes out, and then as he's distracted, somebody, throws him out. Like, Sheamus Bro kicks him, and that's it. They could do where he just comes through the crowd and gives a sledgehammer or something. And there's all types of ways they can improvise to have Triple H do something without actually being in the match, So.
Yeah, for sure. Caller, what was your name again?
My name's Topher.
Oh, Topher? Did you have any... What was it again, man?
Topher. Topher, like the actor from that really bad Spider-Man 3 movie.
Topher Grace.
Yeah, I got you. All right, man, did you have any questions for any of us?
He started that 70s show, and that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I got a question. Are you guys upset about the whole United States title, the Rio Kalisto thing? Or are you just one of those fans who's just kind of like, you don't really care about the title?
We haven't
I'm disappointed.
Yet, but we haven't gotten to that match prediction yet, but I think he's going to win the title back tonight. I don't know. That's my sort of out of left field prediction. It seems so odd that they would do that for one day. So that's why I'm thinking he wins it back, but who knows?
My personal opinion on it is that regardless, I want to see the titles have prestige. I talked a lot about at the beginning of the show how Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens are raising the prestige of the Intercontinental Championship. I want to see feuds that, WWE seems to overcomplicate things when it comes to storylines and feuds. It can't be as simple as one guy wants the title and the other guy wants that title. And I just want to see prestige brought back to the United States title, similar to how they're, bringing the prestige back to the Intercontinental title with them unifying the World Heavyweight and the WWE title when Randy Orton and Cena had their match. So, I was hoping with the World Heavyweight title out of the picture that would help elevate the United States and Intercontinental title. And it seems like they've been going back and forth as far as adding prestige to the Intercontinental title, but they're starting to get there finally. And Cena being the U.S. champion, we were starting to get that finally there. Now it just seems like the U.S. belt is going back to being a prop again, and I just don't want to see, back and forth, even Steven booking, one guy wins the title. I don't want to see 3 title changes in 1 or 2 weeks. So to me, I'm a little disappointed about it just for the fact I want to see prestige added to the U.S. title just as well as the Intercontinental title, especially without the presence of the World Heavyweight Championship being there no longer. Like I said, you don't have to overcomplicate a lot of these storylines and feuds. If you look at UFC, what's the ultimate goal? To win the championship in whatever weight class they're in. That should be one of the main things in WWE. Somebody's got a title, somebody else wants that title, that's why they're wrestling, not because of some goofy storyline that Vince McMahon came up with and thought was hilarious, or, something like that. Just overcomplicated booking, and I think that would help, help out a lot with that. I mean, back in the day, that's what it was all about. People wanted the Intercontinental Championship, so they challenged people for the title, and that's what a lot of it was about, not goofy, like, the storyline with Titus O'Neil and Stardust. Why the hell are they wrestling? I mean, what beef do they have? Things like that. I want to see if they have legitimate beef over something, fine. If not, you can just use the championships as a way of creating feuds without, trying to come up with some really creative out-of-the-box storyline. It can just be as simple as one guy's got the title and the other one wants one.
Right, but not everybody is lent to that opportunity to be going for a title, right? Sometimes you have your
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that for the most part they can do that with a couple. You know what I mean? With the U.S. and Intercontinental, those titles, you can create feuds just out of those titles, and then the rest of the stuff, you come up with it. I mean, there's been plenty of times there's been feuds over the Intercontinental Championship, but it wasn't about the Intercontinental Championship. That was the afterthought. You know what I mean? Like Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho, a few, back in the day had a great Intercontinental title feud, but it wasn't about the title at all. It was about Mysterio's mask and just stupid things like that. You don't need that. It can be as simple as one guy wants that title and he's coming to get that title.
Topher, what's your feel on the title position right now between Kalisto and Del Rio?
Well, one of the big complaints for years is that nothing matters on SmackDown. Nothing of importance or significant value happens on SmackDown. So, when they had the title change on SmackDown, I just felt they did it as a way of saying that anything can happen, to kind of build up SmackDown again. But at the same time, it's kind of dumb, because it's like, if you were going to go ahead and take the belt back on Del Rio, then why did you have Kalisto beat him in the first place? Like, if that's the case, they shouldn't have had a match on Raw. They should have just, build up the feud and then let the first match be at the Rumble or something. Because tonight, if Kalisto wins again, then Del Rio just gets another rematch, and it just continues, which just makes me believe that Del Rio's probably going to win, and that'll be the end of it, which was really going to kind of make you scratch your head. Like, I don't think WWE understands the mid-card title prestige. One of my favorite wrestlers right now is Shinsuke Nakamura, and in New Japan, he's no longer the IWGP Intercontinental Champion. He had to forfeit the belt, and I think they'll be having like a match or something for it. But when Nakamura was the champion, he put prestige back on the belt by consistently having great matches, and that's a belt that's kind of like, it has his name on it. Well, not his name on it, but kind of like, sort of like, you know, during the New Generation era, when you thought about the Intercontinental title, you thought about guys like Razor, Shawn, Brett. Like, that's kind of like what Nakamura did for the belt, and he raised the belt so high that when they did Wrestle Kingdom 8, which is essentially their WrestleMania, the IWGP Intercontinental title main event, which is like the equivalent of the Intercontinental title main eventing WrestleMania, you know, and New Japan by no means is, you know, it's not a small promotion. It's the second biggest promotion in the world. So when they did that, I was like, that's proof that WWE could do something more with their mid-card belt.
I mean, yeah, look at it. 23 years ago, you had at Wembley Stadium the British Bulldog facing Bret the Hitman Hart for the Intercontinental Championship was the main event. And I'd like to see a lot more, you know, of that, with the IC title and the US title getting a lot more recognition that it does.
I just wonder if right now they're so stuck for having healthy talent that they're not really sure. Like, I think they're putting all the eggs into the heavyweight title contention rather than spread out the wealth and let's build up the other titles. But it's like, no, the bread and butter for them has to be the heavyweight title. And so by doing that, you alienate the other titles. So maybe with a healthy roster, a deep roster, you lend yourself to that opportunity. Maybe that's something in 2016 we can hope to have happen, because we're only here in January, but who knows by December, right? Guys will come back, more people contend, people will be called up from NXT, and free agents will come in. So there's a lot to be optimistic about. And really, when it comes to the U.S. title, let's hope to have that. Let's hope to have that, since the Shinsuke Nakamura's come in and help give something credibility, and we can all be beneficial for it.
Hey, I agree with you 100%, man. And honestly, one thing I will disagree with you about is about, you know, granted, WWE is hurting with a lot of talent being out, but in my personal opinion, I think this is one of WWE's best talent rosters in years. It's just the fact that these guys aren't booked proper enough. You know, if you look around with all the talent, I mean, Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, Dolph Ziggler, I mean, the list goes, you know, Neville, Stardust, the list goes on of all these talented guys. You know, Dean Ambrose even, you know, he's getting his chance and everything, but is he, you know, are these guys being booked up to their capability? And that's really hurting WWE now that they buried all these guys, and even Steven feuds that end up losing. You know, look at Rusev last year, who was absolutely on fire, and he's, you know, he's probably, the third guy in the League of Nations behind Sheamus and Del Rio. And, I mean, I just see talent, you know, oozing throughout WWE that they're just not utilizing properly. You know, to me, it's not really a lack of talent. I mean, yeah, it's probably a lack of star power, but the reason it's a lack of star power is because WWE hasn't been pushing these guys to their, you know, potential and utilizing the roster properly.
I think we'd be talking very differently about the prestige of the Intercontinental title if Bryan hadn't got hurt. I think that really ruined their plans, and then they tried to do something with Ryback, it didn't work. And now since it's been on Owens, it's, you know, been a little bit better. And if they, well, I guess it's on Ambrose now, but if Owens wins it back and Owens versus Zayn is the Intercontinental title match for Mania, that's a pretty big match.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've been listening to the whole show or not. That's what I brought up earlier. Is I would like to see Kevin Owens retain the IC title tonight, make Sami Zayn debut during the Royal Rumble, eliminate Kevin Owens from the Royal Rumble, bam, starts your, you know, IC title feud for WrestleMania with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and hopefully, you know, let Dean Ambrose move on to bigger and better things that he's, you know, earned and is very capable of stepping into one of those top spots. Does anybody else have any opinions on the matter?
I was going to quickly mention, you know, I think we've got to, you know, we're getting off track, but I just want to really quickly talk about, you know, we've got to talk about what makes a title prestigious. And I think, you know, NXT is, I think, a really good example. Same thing, New Japan Pro Wrestling is a really good example. the way to go about making a title prestigious, we're seeing it with the NXT title right now. You have a champion in Finn Balor who is almost never beaten, and is always put in a light that is favorable to him. Then you have challengers below him, a Samoa Joe, a Sami Zayn, a Baron Corbin, even an Apollo Crews, who don't get beat often, only beat each other instead of having lesser guys beat them. I would just like to see a challenger that's not beaten, a champion that's not beaten, and they go into a match together where they're both quote-unquote unstoppable forces until they get to each other, and then one of them loses, and then both of them get over that. Whoever loses gets over that loss the next night and continues to win. That's something they've done with Apollo Crews, where he lost to Baron Corbin, which is perfectly fine, and they explained it perfectly well on NXT, where he lost to Baron Corbin, he fully admits he lost, he comes back, he wants a shot at Finn Balor for just a singles match, not for the title, and that makes Apollo Crews look like a formidable opponent to a Finn Balor who just wants an opportunity. I think it's so simple when you look into these championship feuds. It doesn't have to be these big elaborate feuds. All it has to be is a challenger who's not beaten, a champion who's not beaten. They go into a match together, both unbeaten for at least a long period of time, and then one of them loses. It's simple as that. That's pro wrestling 101 at its finest, and that's why I think if you go back and watch Wrestle Kingdom 10, the entire card was championship matches, but every single one of the title matches felt important because that's what was on the line. That's what was at stake. Where the title was the most important thing about every match, and there was no personal storylines. But exactly. Yeah. So you have the IWGP Heavyweight Championship with Okada and Tanahashi. Even though there's a built-in storyline in that match where it's the ace of the company for a decade plus going up against the newcomer, the title is still the most important part of that match. It's that simple, and they can do that for every title in WWE. They can do that for the U.S. title. They can do that for the IC title, and especially the WWE title.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Definitely going forward. Not to cut you guys off, but we're running short on time. And Topher, thank you for calling in, man. And be sure to call in again. We'd love to hear from you again.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for calling in.
So we got about 10 minutes or so left, maybe a little bit less.
Finish our predictions.
I was going to say quick predictions.
Yeah, going to run through some predictions, and then Mark and I had a few things we had to talk about before we wrapped up. So didn't mean to cut you guys off. So we've been talking a bit about the U.S. title match quickly here. Del Rio Kalisto. Are we all in agreement that Kalisto walks out champion?
No.
I think he might walk out as via DQ. He might win the match, but not the title.
Del Rio walks out champion.
Yeah.
Could this go to a WrestleMania feud?
Del Rio walks out.
No, I hope not. I think the simple thing with Kalisto was I think Sin Cara got hurt, and they wanted to test the waters with Kalisto as a single star. And I think the win on Monday Night Raw against Del Rio was something to test the waters and see how fans would react to Kalisto winning the title. They reacted favorably. They put the title back on Del Rio, and I think that they just wanted to see how Kalisto would handle a singles run. And now they know. So I think Del Rio walks out champion.
I think Kalisto, Kalisto got that ladder match that I referenced earlier with him doing that spot with one of the Usos, also, his finisher off the ladder onto the other ladder, I think that match in particular opened up a lot of their eyes about his potential as a single star. And like you mentioned, I am in complete 100% agreement that they were testing the waters during Sin Cara's, injury. They've been looking for a new Rey Mysterio. I think his, involvement in that ladder match opened their eyes of what potential he can bring to the table. And they were testing the waters. I completely agree with you, but I think Del Rio walks out champion one way or another.
If they're smart, they could keep this going until WrestleMania and do a mask versus title match. That's pretty easy.
Ambrose, what about Ambrose versus Owens?
I want Owens to win just to set up an Owens versus Zayn high profile IC title match moving forward. But in my heart, my heart wants Owens to win, but my brain says Ambrose walks out champion.
Joe, Aaron?
I think they're doing this Owens Zayn thing, and maybe I'm wrong, and that could not be for a title. But I'll stick with Owens winning. They could, because I hate last man standing match. I think it's one of the worst gimmicks that WWE has. They can always do some stupid ending where Ambrose gets stuck under a table or something, and he physically can't get up. They always do these stupid screwjob endings to this gimmick match.
Just like the Bray Wyatt John Cena last man standing match a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Aaron, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with Owens. I think that's the smart bet here for Owens to take the title back. I think you have Owens who continues to talk about himself as a prize fighter. That only makes sense for him to get a prize back. Unless they have bigger plans for him to go up against a Brock Lesnar, which I don't think is the case, then I think he walks out champion tonight.
Yeah.
Mark?
I'm going to stick with Ambrose. Just, again, like the same idea. Hopefully Owens will move on more to the main event title.
And quickly, the Charlotte and Becky for the Divas title. I think Charlotte wins for me.
Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte retains for me. I hope they still make Becky Lynch look strong in defeat, however.
Aaron?
Yeah, Charlotte.
No, you're fine, Mark.
I was going to say, I think, I've really enjoyed what Becky Lynch has done recently. I think I just want to give her credit for how far she's come. Where when she first got on main roster TV, she was kind of over her head a little bit, and now she's really kind of slid into that comfort zone where she's cutting great promos and she's doing great in-ring work. I would love to see her win tonight, but I think Charlotte's going to continue as Divas champion.
Joe?
Yeah, I agree. As I said, assuming Sasha Banks is healthy, I think that's the big plan for WrestleMania.
New Day wins?
Charlotte's going to continue to look good. I think as I said, it will be a 10-15 minute match. I don't think Becky Lynch will get in no offense. Charlotte will win by cheating as she has been, and they'll move on.
New Day and the Usos. Mark?
New Day.
Aaron?
I have the Usos.
Joe?
I think this really could go either way, but I'll say New Day.
And Chris?
I'd love to see the Usos win and move in a new direction with the tag team division, but in my opinion, I think WWE is, really, really, behind the New Day right now, and I see them retaining.
Definitely. And we talked about it a little bit before, but, final picks for the pre-show match. Dudley's?
Yeah, Dudley's.
Yep,
I think we were all unanimous on the Dudleys, even though I think a couple of us said we wanted to see Henry and Swagger win.
And lastly, the more important one, arguably, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Does Roman Reigns walk out as champion? I guess that's the easy way to word it.
I say yes.
I will say yes as well.
Joe?
I'm picking the what I guess is, at least according to the Vegas odds, is the favorite, which is either it'll come down to Roman and Triple H, and then Triple H wins, or Roman wins and Triple H makes himself the 31st entrant, which is the other rumor that prediction people have floated around, and Triple H somehow walks out champion. I don't see that not being the WrestleMania main event.
I personally see a screwy finish where nobody walks out WWE champion, and we'll have a similar match at Fastlane.
Or you have a dual winner.
Bryan versus Roman Reigns.
You're gonna have three years in a row the show ending in showering and booze. I think you have to have a definitive winner tonight. I think you can't have it 3 years in a row where you have a screwy finish. I think there's two ways it can happen. I think you could either have Roman defy the odds and walk out champion, and then he's so beaten and broken down at the end that the match is over, but then you see Vince come out, Hunter's music hits, and they just do a beatdown where Hunter and the Authority stands tall, but Roman is still the champion. Or you can do where I think I forget who said it. I think it might have been Joe, where you have Triple H come in as the 31st entrant, and he ends up walking out champion. I think it's either going to be Reigns or Triple H. I think there's a far-fetched chance that you see Wyatt maybe walk out champion. I don't think that's going to happen. Same thing with Lesnar. I don't think that I think that's going to be the next feud for Lesnar. Is it's going to be Lesnar and Wyatt going into WrestleMania.
You know something they haven't done.
I see.
I'll make it real quick. Sorry.
Wyatt. Well, let me throw my 2 cents in real quick. I think we're going to end up seeing Lesnar versus Wyatt and Roman Reigns versus Triple H. I'd much rather... I don't think you need Roman Reigns and Triple H for the title. The feud speaks for itself. It doesn't have to have the title involved. With Lesnar Wyatt, it's a fresh main event. Being for the title, I just don't see... I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't see them going that route just because I don't see Lesnar or Wyatt walking out of WrestleMania World Champion, as much as I would have loved that to be the title match rather than Reigns and Triple H, which doesn't need the title involved. But
okay, sorry guys. We got to make it really quick because we've got very little to get to. Sorry about this, guys. John, was there something that you want to share out there?
Yeah, and I want to get some fan feedback before we get ready to wrap this up, guys. And first off, I want to say thank you to all 3 of you for coming on here and taking out some of your time before the show. Really appreciate it, guys. We want to get some fan feedback, so please, guys, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Main Event Madness, and give us your opinions on there, or tweet us at John MEM Radio and at TheMarkMadison. We're thinking about opening up a. Well, first off, we want to get the Main Event Madness brand out there a little bit more, and why it's taken us so long to even get to this point. I'll never know, especially talking about myself more. But we are considering having our own store of pro wrestling tees, and what do you guys think about it? You think that's a good idea, guys?
What was it again, Joe?
We're thinking about getting our own store with pro wrestling tees.
I think that'd be pretty dope.
And I don't know what the business side of it is. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert, but assuming it's a decent deal, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
What do you think, Aaron?
Well, I do know that with PWP we have T-shirts as well, and it's very tough to get people to buy shirts that are for a podcast. I know if you make T-shirts that have something to do with pop culture in wrestling, in the wrestling sphere, if you make T-shirts that are memes or funny or something like that, then I think definitely you can take advantage of that. And like Joe said, if it's a good deal, I think people will go ahead and buy.
Well, we can also get some of the talent that we bring on to kind of co-promote by wearing the tees. I think if you know that Wrestler X was on Main Event Madness and they're shown and we have a picture of them wearing one of our shirts, I think brings more recognition too, right?
Yeah.
What I know that what Jay has done is the owner of PWPNation.com and a good friend of mine, and I'm his right-hand man. I think what he's done is he's actually sent tees out to wrestlers for free and just kind of sent them out to him, and we were lucky enough to get Sasha Banks to wear one of our T-shirts during a photo with Apollo Crews. So that's definitely something to do as well. Just send them out to random wrestlers.
And what I'm thinking, sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Well, John, I just wanted to let you know before I get off. I have to hop off here in just a minute. I just wanted to say thanks for the opportunity for letting me come on here tonight. It was really a pleasure talking to each and every one of you. I look forward to joining you guys again. I really appreciate it. I hope I didn't talk too much or, steal anybody's thunder or, annoying anybody or anything, cutting any of you guys off. I just hope you guys, looked at me as an asset tonight. I hope you guys would look forward to having me on again sometime in the future. It was an absolute pleasure. John, thanks again for the opportunity as always.
No problem, man.
Anytime any of you guys need me to fill in, I'd be more than happy. Just let me know in advance so I can clear my schedule like I did tonight. And I hope we have one hell of a Royal Rumble to remember tonight that we all enjoy, unlike last year. And good luck to everybody, and I will be talking to you guys soon. John, shoot me a message after you're done with the show, and you guys have a good evening.
Definitely, man. Take care. Thank you.
Take care. All right, no problem, man. Bye.
And I mean, I was kind of thinking, Mark, before we get ready to wrap up here. Also, maybe we can have a contest with people following us or liking us on Facebook. And if you guys will, I'll make a post after the show. Maybe they could send in. People want to try to make up a graphic or something. Maybe if they send one in we like, maybe we'll do some kind of giveaway or something for them.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Try to get some fan opinions, fan interaction, and let them contribute somehow to it. But I mean, again, like I said before, I don't know why it took me so long to get to this point. I know Al and I talked about this a long time ago, but we never did anything with it. But excited to see where we can go with this, and definitely going to have some more news as we follow up. Also, in the coming days, guys, actually, hopefully tonight, I'm looking forward to hopefully having some news. If you guys listened to our show this past Wednesday, it was one of our highest rated shows we've had in a long time. We had Michael. What's that?
What's the latest listen results?
We're about 850.
Wow.
So, awesome. I mean, for the listens that we've had in the last few weeks, I mean, we're getting back on track. That's the bottom line of that. And I know we had Tyrone Evans this past week. We're going to have him on again soon. Hopefully, I'm going to try to have him on this week for part 2. And there's a lot more. He's definitely a talker. Great interview.
Yeah, no doubt.
Want to talk to him a lot more about his WWE run in depth. So hopefully we'll have that for you guys this week on the show. Mark's playing hooky. He won't be on there with us this week. But I'm looking forward to trying to figure something out. Hey, Joe, are you free?
Possibly. No, I don't have anything in my schedule. I might be. We'll see. We could talk. I'll let you know.
Aaron,
sure.
Aaron, play hooky.
I wish I could.
Class, Aaron.
I wish I could.
Cut class.
The first full week is
John.
But
what time is the show on Wednesdays?
8:00.
Okay, I might be available. I might have the Lucha Underground premiere on in the background.
That's okay. I've got football on in the background right now.
Yeah, so that's fair.
And I know, Aaron, you are not very happy.
We don't care.
Oh, okay, cool. So I can brag about this and not piss you off. Ball game over. Patriots lose. Patriots lose.
Thrashed in the Super Bowl. I mean, the Super Bowl is now not even going to be a competition.
Wait, the Broncos won?
Broncos won. They got the ball. 11 seconds left. Patriots failed an onside kick. 20-18 is going to be the final score.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't see that coming.
Neither did I.
So this is going to be an interesting NFC Championship game. I think we're definitely getting an NFC Super Bowl winner now.
Yes.
But so Aaron and Joe, do you guys have anything on tap coming up for you guys?
For me, we do have a post show tonight on PWP Nation Radio. I'll be there with a couple of other guys. I think Toph, the guy that called in, he'll be on with me. He's a PWP Nation Radio guy. He does Thursdays for our network, so he'll probably be on. So we'll see. We'll break down the whole show. I welcome any of you to come on if you're available or if you feel like talking about the show. And also, myself and Joel, we're throwing around ideas and seeing if we're going to get the show back and going. And
yeah, buddy.
This weekend we're going to give recording a try and see what happens.
Awesome stuff, man. Looking forward to hearing you guys back together again. And I may just take you up on that, depending on if I'm excited or if I'm angry about this Royal Rumble. Either way, I may take you up on that.
Exactly. Either way, you can come on and talk about what you think.
And that's going to be on PWPNation.com tonight, guys, after the Royal Rumble.
blogtalkradio.com/PWPNation.
And you guys are definitely going to want to check that out. Aaron does a great job with all the guys over there. Mark, what were you going to say? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Sorry. Is this the Joel that you went to WrestleMania with?
Yes, it is.
Ah, nice to meet you, Joel.
No. He's not. Well.
Oh, all right.
No, it's not him?
No, that's Joe. Joel is, he lives in Australia. I think he's working right now, actually.
Okay.
No,
Joe's got so many things going on. That's why it's going to be interesting.
He's been domesticated.
Yeah, you know.
Not saying that in a bad way, but no, he's got a lot going on for him. Happy for him.
Okay.
But
until you made that mistake, Mark, though, Joe and Joel.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is an easy one.
Can't blame you.
But definitely gonna have something, like I said, on Facebook.com/MainEventMadness after the show. Just waiting to hear back from Tyron, so look forward to that, guys. Give me a follow at John MEM Radio. Follow Mark at the Mark Madison, and Aaron is at ERON_PWP. And if I'm not mistaken, Joe is at Joe Israel _.
Yeah.
See, I thought I found you on there.
Yeah.
And if I knew Dunphy's Twitter, I totally would have plugged that. But you know, it's been a couple years.
Can I just get one more plug? I'm sorry, I'm just gonna get one more plug in there. I wrote an article for PWP Nation recently about the Authority and how they're making WWE into a no fun zone. So
I read that.
Thank you. I wrote it. I wrote it in a kind of a state of anger, just kind of randomly. So yeah, you head over to pwpnation.com and check that out.
And I got that impression from reading it.
Yeah.
Sounds great, man.
I don't have too much, but John, yeah, hopefully I'll be able to join you at least for a little bit on Wednesday.
Sounds good. And to David, who's commenting on Spreaker, yes, we do a thank you for the kind words, and we do a pregame show for every pay-per-view, and we will be doing one for Fastlane. I'll have an event link up on our Facebook page and out on Twitter after the show. So thank you for the kind words, guys, and hope you guys enjoy the show. I know I'll probably be talking to most of you, if not all of you guys, during the show. It's going to be an interesting one, to say the least. Hopefully, we're not getting our hopes up too high. I think, if anything, the last couple of years kind of taught us not to.
Mm-hmm.
But
I will say real quickly, I think the best Rumble matches come from when a lot of the WrestleMania card is begun, if you know what I mean. I think if we can get a bunch of stuff tonight during the Rumble match that will lead to a WrestleMania match, as far as maybe Wyatt and Lesnar. I'm looking really forward to the spot when the Wyatt family will clear the ring, and they'll be the only ones in the ring, and then Lesnar's music hits, and he charges to the ring and F5s them all. I think that's going to be a spot to look forward to.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of them to look forward to, and it is exciting because, you know, the last few years, kind of to the opposite of what you said, you know, we've known vaguely what WrestleMania is going to be, whereas this year, you know, are we going to get Reigns Triple H? Most likely. Is it going to be for the WWE Championship game? WWE Championship? Time will tell. You know, maybe they want to somehow put it on Brock and do Brock Rock for the title, or I've even seen Brock and Wyatt for the title, like you guys mentioned earlier. You know, it's not outside the realm of possibility, and I'm rocking my Wyatt shirt, so I'm hoping he wins, or at least gets a good showing in this match. And no, Mark, you cannot plug anything. You're the co-host of the show, and God damn it, you're not going to promote anything. No promoting. No,
that's too bad, because I was encouraging listeners to come pick up our last episode and listen to our last episode with Michael Tarver.
Yes.
It was like a 3-hour show. I mean, if you didn't get a chance to, please go back and listen to it. The response has been great so far.
Mm-hmm.
On a personal note, I have a couple articles that came up on the Richest. One that's just recently up is the 10 times wrestling and MMA have had a crossover between athletes in both genres even appearing. And I did an 11 most shocking moments of Royal Rumble history. It's going to be quite interesting because not everything is quite what we think it is. More recent things have taken place. Not all are pertaining to Rumble matches, but some of the events that happen in the Rumble itself are quite important. And I just released something on tgrwrestling.net entitled The Concussion Generation, how wrestlers today are a lot less protected from their head to their toes. Everything else in between, whereas other sports definitely offer some sort of protection. What's out there for wrestlers? So I hope we're going to have something up next week on Iron Mike Sharp. the late great Iron Mike Sharp.
Awesome stuff, man. Sound like some great reads. Looking forward to checking them out, guys. That is, as far as I know, that's going to do it for us here on Main Event Madness. Like I said, guys, thanks for coming on and spending some time and BSing about the show. Hopefully it's going to be a good show. That's ultimately what I'm looking forward to, is just it hopefully being a good show. You know, WWE really needs a good show right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But
we'll do.
All right, guys. Follow us on Twitter at John MEM Radio, at the Mark Madison, at Aaron PWP, ERON_PWP, and at Joe Israel _, and Facebook.com/Main Event Madness. Give us a like. I'll be back on Wednesday. Guests to be announced.
I'll try to make it, John. Just because I'm not really sure my schedule at that point. So let's see. Hopefully, I can connect with you. It kills me to have to be away, so I'm really hoping that I can rejig something and make it, even if it's late, try to make it on.
Do what you can do. Don't stretch yourself. I have a couple options. I'm looking to. Maybe I'll have to do one earlier in the day. Wayne, I'm looking at you. I know you're listening right now. So we'll see for that, guys. Facebook.com/Main Event Madness. I know I'm doing some DX level shameless shilling here. But yeah, that's going to do it. Lord willing, we'll be back on Wednesday, guys, with you guys all. And that's it. Take care, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
The preceding broadcast was an MEM Network production. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you missed a part or all of tonight's show, visit Spreaker.com/show/Main Event Madness or PWPNation.com. Also, every week, we stream live on Wrestling-News.net. And for the latest news on the show, like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Main Event Madness. Be sure to catch us back here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're Main Event Madness. Madness Unleashed. Have a good one, everybody. So long.